our scholarships, our TC and Bill Parker scholarships. Today we have with us Stephanie Lake. Stephanie's been here before. She's been in the private non-profit sector now for some 18 years, and her experience includes program management, public-private partnerships, fundraising, and communications. She's currently the Senior Director of Foundation Relations and Administration at Wake Tech, and she is responsible for developing private fundraising and donor retention strategies in an effort to build lasting relationships with community partners and to benefit the college. In 2013, Wake Tech Foundation concluded its first major gifts campaign, which raised $17.6 million for student success. I've worked with Stephanie now for several years with the Wake Tech Scholarship. She's brought some of our past recipients here to speak to us. She's also brought letters from some that couldn't be here, mainly because they graduated and went on to do other things. They were working for a living. So it's really great to have Stephanie here with us today. And if you would come forward, please. And I'm sorry, Mr. President, if you'd put your fork down, I'd like for you to join us because we have a very special presentation. A large check. A very large check made out to Wake Tech Foundation in the amount of $3,000. This money will fund the three $1,000 scholarships for the coming academic year in the name of our former members, TC and Bill Parker. Turn the check this way. Jay Williams, our treasurer, is right over there, and he actually has the real. He has the real. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. 2 seconds. We've actually already awarded your 3 scholarships, so I look forward to bringing those students to you. We try to set it up for later in the fall or early in the spring. I should be able to catch them before they fly the coop and graduate and start working. So I look forward to seeing you again, and thank you. Scholarships are my big passion. Student assistance is my big piece of my chunk of the fundraising budget that we go by at the foundation. So thank you so very much. I've met multiple Rotaries given this way, and you guys have been incredibly generous. So thank you.
Today we have a 2-part program, a double whammy, you might say, from Wake Tech, because also, back as you know, our 50th anniversary will be celebrated in the year 2017. And as part of that, we decided we were going to give away 50 years, $50,000. And we're in the process of raising that money. We have a good start, a really good start, and we will have that money. And we've leaned on our friend Roy Palmer. The endowment fund has also put money into this. So we put out proposals. We had 16 proposals. And of that 16, Boyd Bennett and Stephen Nelson, myself, we independently ranked all of those 16, and the 3 of us came up with a list of 6 top programs that we wanted to go further with the interview. So we spent a day at the Monroe, Wallace, Morden offices up in Wake Forest. We spent the whole day interviewing 6 different finalists for our funding, and it was so difficult. There wasn't any one, I think we could all agree, any one of those 6 that wasn't deserving of funding. I mean, they were all top programs. But it was a hard choice, and we came down to 2, and one of those is a program called Bridges to Success. And that's what our speaker is going to talk with us today about. It's we've awarded, next year we'll be giving $25,000 to help support this great program. And speaking to us about it is Tiffany Williams. and she is the Dean of the College and Career Readiness at Wake Tech. She's been there since June of 2015, a little more than a year. She is a native North Carolinian and began working in the community college system back in 2002. She's been in the area of human resource development, community service programs, and has served as a corporate trainer for Cox Target Media. In 2008, for some odd reason, she moved out to the West Coast, and spent the next 6 years working with Washington State Community College System with an emphasis on student retention and workforce development. In 2008, she came back to North Carolina. She's a certified poverty coach, dependable strengths trainer, instructor of career development facilitator. In her first year with Wake Tech, she's created a student support center, expanded tutoring programs, and is working to build partnerships and resources to increase student support and programming to the College and Career Readiness program. It's the largest program of its kind in the state with more than 5,000 students. Tiffany Williams, thank you for coming today.
Can you hear me okay? I thought I projected, but they said you have to have a microphone anyway. So, my name is Tiffany Williams. I am the Dean of College and Career Readiness at Wake Technical Community College. It is a mouthful, but we serve a whole lot of students. As Mr. Smallwood said, right now we've got around 6,000 students just in our basic skills education program. And what I'm going to do today is give you a bit of an overview about a pilot program that we want to put in place and are going to be able to put in place thanks to your very, very, very generous contribution. So, this is what we've got. I work with students in crisis. Now, if you work with a lot of students that come through my doors, we ask them the same kind of questions when they come through, Why are you coming to school here? Why do you want to get your high school equivalency? What are you looking for? And most of them will tell you, I always wanted to get that high school equivalency. It didn't work the first time I went through school. I want to get a better job. That's one of the things that always comes through. Better job, better job, better job. However, once you start working with some of my students that are experiencing high levels of poverty, what ends up happening when they get a couple of weeks or months into school is we start to go back and talk to them again about, what does education mean to you? What were you kind of hoping to get out of this? Now, if you talk to a room of Rotarians, or to my mother and father, or to some of my colleagues, and you say, what does education mean to you? They're going to tell you things like opportunity, a chance at a better life, a job means security for my family. When you start working with some of my students, you get things like this. Well, education's important, but it's going to be time away from home. It's going to be time away from my kids. It's going to be time that I could have been working. If you ask them, what does a job mean to you? It's stress. I'll be working, but I'm not going to make enough money. That's why I came back to school in the first place. So when you're coming through my program and you're trying to get your high school equivalency and you're trying to move on to the next step, which we hope is college and career readiness, you have some additional barriers. Now, I tell people, I work in education, but I also work with people with poverty. And here's a glance at some of the folks that I'm working with. 62% of the folks in my program are unemployed. It's one of the reasons why they want to come back to school. 15% are only working part-time, and of the 23% that we have that are working full-time, many of them, even with a full-time job, are still under the federal poverty guidelines. And so what I've got are a lot of people that are in need. They want to build a better life, but they don't exactly know how, and they're coming through my doors for that first step. This is also one of the reasons why we're no longer called a basic skills program. We changed our name a few years ago to College and Career Readiness, because when you come through, just the high school diploma, just the GED is not going to be enough to actually change your life. It's going to open the next door for you, but it's not going to take the next step for you. You need those additional supports, and this is what we are building at Wake Tech. One of the things that comes up when I do poverty trainings for organizations is what poverty actually is, and everyone has a different poverty perspective. You'll find some people say, well, you just need to work harder, or try a little harder here, and do this, and make better decisions, or save your money. And you have other people who say, that's not their fault. the system was the problem, or they can't help it if something went wrong. But what we're seeing a lot more of is that poverty these days has become kind of a societal handicap. And I put the suit here because I had a reality check with a student recently. We had worked with her on her resume and her cover letter. She was going to go apply for a job with a daycare center. She was very excited. And I said, well, come by and see me before you go in. We'll make sure that you're ready to go. So she comes into the office and she's wearing black pants, black shirt, black shoes. And I said, okay, now you're trying to get a job at a daycare center. Why are you wearing all black? You look like you're going to a funeral. And I didn't mean to shame her, but she started to get a little teary. And I said, whoa, what's wrong? What's wrong? She said, this is all I have. Okay, I got you. I hear you now. From my perspective, as a societal handicap thing, I'm thinking, she's not serious. She doesn't really want this job, or she would have dressed more appropriately. From her perspective, it wasn't the no suit, no job offer. It wasn't that she didn't want the job. She didn't have anything better. So I reached in my desk, I have a couple of scarves, I put some scarves on her and I dressed her up a little bit, I gave her a couple of stickers, and she said, I can't wear stickers to a job interview. I said, you can if it's a daycare center, put those stickers on. And so she puts the scarf on and she puts the stickers on and she goes up to the job interview, and I apologized for making her feel bad, and she got the job.
Sweet.
Yes, it was really good. But that's what's going on. I've got people that are doing the best they can with what they've got. And we have current systems right now where we're trying to give them supports, but sometimes the supports aren't the actual supports that they need, because we haven't been looking farther into what does a person in poverty who's trying to come out of poverty really need. We found poverty is great for enrollment, but bad for retention. I'm coming through the doors because I want a better life, but one flat tire, I can quit school. One missed week of daycare, I don't come back. Things that to us seem like an inconvenience for the day can actually cripple a person's forward momentum in their education. So, I know you can't read it because it's kind of small over here. This is our Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and hopefully some of you are familiar with this. But Maslow's hierarchy of needs says this: before you can get up here to self-actualization and achievement and self-esteem and confidence, you've got to take care of yourself first. The baseline layer is survival, safety, relationships. What you see many times in education is when they build supports for students, they build supports that support the top two tiers of the pyramid. Study skills, time management skills, test-taking skills, and they're all necessary. But when you're coming through my doors, you're battling safety, security, survival. And if I have a person who's worried about whether the lights will be on when they get home, they're not too worried about test-taking skills. So when you're coming through my doors to get a high school equivalency, I'm giving you that instruction, but I'm adding other supports on top of that. And that's what this grant money from you folks is going to help me build and do. Poverty, and the things that I'm battling, these poverty perceptions, is that I have folks that come through the door who want to work, but they think, this probably isn't for me. Or there's no one that's going to help me, or I don't need to ask for help, I just need to do it myself. Or they think, I can't do this. We'll have folks that come through the door and we'll say, wonderful, welcome to registration. Please fill out this application or this registration form. And they look at the form and they say, I can't do that. You made it through the door. You couldn't even register. So I say, that's not a problem, sit down. I'll write it with you. We'll do it together. Don't walk out the door. Please don't walk out the door. Part of this other thing that we're seeing is a learned helplessness. Now, learned helplessness was coined by Martin Seligman in the 1960s. He was doing research, and he was working with dogs. He was working with animals. And what he was doing was he was saying, I wonder what happens if we take this dog and we shock him a lot. So they put these animals in cages, and they showed them the door, and when the animal went towards the door, they shocked it. And when the animal moved, they shocked it. And what ended up happening was that all of these shocks, all of these traumas to this animal caused the animal to lock up, caused these dogs to just sit in the corner and cower. And when they opened the door so that the dog could get out of the kennel, the dog wouldn't go. When they stood outside the door and said, here dog, the dog wouldn't go. So even when the solutions, even when the supports, even when the solution was presented to the these animals, they wouldn't go out. Now we see behaviors like this even with some of our students who are experiencing a crisis or poverty, where we will say, here's a bus pass, but then they don't use it. Here's a scholarship, but then they went through the scholarship in the first 4 days that they had it. We see it all the time. And then we sit back and go, why did you do that? I'm trying to change it to say, I see what you did. Let's see if we can change that next time. Their perception becomes their truth. If they don't believe that they can get better, they're not going to try to get better. So this is just a quick example of resources. We'll say, okay, look, you need to go to the library and get some help. That's what I say to a person. Go to the library, get some help with this. This person says, I'm not walking in the library looking stupid. I don't want to look bad. So I'll just get my cousin to help me. Well, your cousin didn't go to college. Your cousin didn't finish high school. So you go to talk to the cousin who you trust, and the cousin says, that's not going to work, don't do that. And then my student says, okay, I'm just going to go home. What are you doing? Don't do that. Come back and see the people that are going to help you. So, this is where you guys come in. Change of perception can bring a change in their lives. So what we're going to be doing with this $25,000 from you folks is we're going to be building a different kind of student support. We have a transitional program, a transitional studies program, where students can come in, and as they are working on their high school equivalency, they can also take college-level classes at the same time. It's called co-enrollment. And this is going to help them fast-track themselves to a college degree or a career certificate. What we want to do, rather than just offer them the opportunity to take the classes, is we want to put that and combine that with specialized tutoring and also specialized coaching, for lack of a better word, coaching at the very beginning, where we say to them, let's sit down and let's really talk about where you're at right now and what kind of supports you need. We're going to take this money and we're going to build coaches that we've got. We're going to expand our tutoring program, and we're going to build a different kind of student support. We're going to build a student support that helps support the bottom layers of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, so that when they get to the higher education piece, they're ready for it and they're successful. The bulk of the money is going to be used to actually pay their tuition. So if you come through our program and you do the tutoring and you take the workshops, I will pay for your tuition. I'm not using the money as a lot of overhead. I'm not using it for books and things like that. I'm going to have my program absorb the cost. I'm using $20,000 of the $25,000 for the actual money to go to the students. And I couldn't do it without you. And I just wanted to say thank you so much. That's all I've got. And if you have questions, I'm ready to answer. Hi.
What kind of academic skills are those students mostly they help with?
Academic skills? The one that really seems to get my folks is math. Math. People will come in and they will take, in a GED situation, you have 5 tests. They will take all 4 tests up through math. The 5th one is math, and they say, I can't do math. We've seen folks get through 4 tests, find out that math is left, and then leave the college. I'm going to start calling them and saying, come back, I have a math tutor for you.
So what I see as a problem with community college, not that community college aren't great, it's a problem of having people graduate, having students complete the program, all that kind of stuff. They go in, they have great ideas, and then from what I've heard, there's sort of a dismal amount of percent of the kids who really finish and graduate. What is it right now with Wake Tech? And second of all, what program are you modeling yourself after, and what is their success rate?
Well, mine's a little different because I'm not with Wake Tech curriculum side. I'm with the College and Career Readiness, which is actually basic skills. So what we're seeing is, for our high school equivalency program, we had over 660 students last year get their high school equivalency in 1 year.
Out of how many?
About 5,700.
So 600 out of 5,700.
Yes, but you have to understand, out of these 5,700 students, some of them are coming in on ESL or English as a second language level 1, which means they're at a first grade reading level in English.
So how do you improve that?
Well, we improve that through the curriculum that we're designing. So we've also received other grants from the state, and we also go out and source other grants, and we find subject matter experts to come in and write curriculum for us. And so for our ESL population, we've rewritten the curriculum for all 6 levels of our English as a second language program.
Where do you get the warm bodies to be tutors and coaches?
Our tutors are all volunteers. We have 94 volunteer tutors at this time.
Is that enough?
We can always use more.
Where do you go?
They come in, they come through the door through our WAVES program, and they say, I'd like to help with tutoring. Usually it's a lot of word of mouth where folks will say, you know, I taught math in schools, or I'm really good with writing, can I come in and do some tutoring with you? And so what we do is we bring them through a new tutor orientation, it takes a couple of hours, and then we assign them out to one-on-one with students or small groups, or we'll put them in small classroom situations. And what we have seen is a 47% increase in level gains for students who use tutoring. So we know the tutoring that we're doing works.
Can I go back and answer your question? So where Wake Tech is right now, we've been working a lot on a project called Completion by Design that got funding from the Gates Foundation. It's been publicized quite a bit across the nation. The Gates Foundation invested in a lot of community colleges for this sort of thing, and in colleges as well. By no means are your four-year universities doing stellar on their graduation rates either. Wake Tech is probably in that 50 to 60% range. I have not checked recently. The thing that counts against us is that we have 2-year programs, we have 18-month programs, we have 1-year programs, we have 6-month programs. If someone, say, gets their first year, but didn't get their 2 years before they transferred to UNC, we do not get to count them. They get considered a non-completer. Even though we did what we were supposed to do, and we got them to UNC or to another 4-year college, we don't get to count them. If we got them through, say, Pharmacy Tech, which has a 1-year level and a stackable 2-year credit, they got through their 1 year, they got picked up by Merck, they got a job. In my book, that counts. It does not count when you start looking at completion rates. They are only counting when that person does the 2 years or does the full program. So even if we got them their job or we got them to a university, if it's not the full completion in that program, we don't get to count them. So that's why you will see at community colleges some of these numbers, and why a lot of us get frustrated, because it makes it look like we're doing a horrible job when we're like, wait, people got a job, they went, they transferred. But we have not had the legislative power to try to get that changed. They're working on it, but try to get that changed. So we continue to work on wraparound services that are helping students. So on the curriculum side, there is now also much like what Tiffany is talking about for her students. We've got our 2nd year of implementation of student success counselors. So student success